All right. Looks like we are live. Very first Twitter space. So, audience, if you'll forgive the occasional odd pauses while I click buttons, we'll see how this goes. But hello, hi, Jeff Garzik, CEO, CTO of Block, co-founder and designer of Vesper.Finance, Metronome, uh, real estate investor, trucking company owner, tractor driver, and various other hobbies and interests. I want to. I've been. Maybe I should start with a little bit of bio. Coming from North Carolina, it's always hard to just talk about yourself, but I think that that's kind of been forced upon me from years and years of pitching to venture capitalists and blah de blah. Jeff Garzik, lifelong nerd. I've been I was a Linux kernel developer for over 10 years. Had the honor and fortune of working under Linus Torvalds, the inventor of Linux, for many of those years as one of the quote unquote Linux lieutenants. So if you are storing data on a rotational hard drive or an SSD, where you're sending packets over a wired Ethernet network, you're using my stuff. So thank you. Then I found blockchain in 2010. I was an early Bitcoin Core developer, and now I've moved on from building software to building and building economic systems and systems of governance, which is just incredibly fascinating, intellectually rewarding, and hopefully, rewarding to the world at large. I feel very strongly that crypto is about empowerment. Crypto is about freedom. And I think that the more that we spread knowledge about crypto, the more that we spread financial education, that leads to empowerment, inclusion, and ultimately every human is a peer-to-peer network with every other human on Earth, and we're all kind of connected together. So get it? I know that's super philosophical, but honestly, it's what motivates me and makes me excited to come to work every day and play around with some of the most fascinating software and ideas and world-changing technology that I've ever seen in my lifetime, certainly. So it's just crypto is where the innovation is at. There's bad innovation and bad actors and hype and all the stuff that you would expect. But there's a lot of amazing innovation, a lot of incredibly talented people. There are reasons why super smart people, developers, engineers, especially, are from Stanford or Georgia Tech or MIT. They're taking a look at crypto. They're seeing that it's not just money go up, but it's real cryptographic innovation, real innovation in how humans organize each other, real innovation in people governance, real innovation in literally cities such as Miami, New York City, or startup cities thinking differently. And crypto is embedded in all of that. And so I've been had the fortune of being on the internet way before the web in the late 80s, on the forefront of open source and Linux in the 90s and early 2000s, and the forefront of blockchain. And blockchain and crypto are leading into governance and at the forefront of a lot of interesting things going on around the world. Crypto, DeFi, all embedded in kind of payment freedom and human freedom, empowerment, egalitarianism. I promised that I wouldn't go on and on about politics, and I should probably get back to talking about the more nuts and bolts of what we've launched, what what's coming down the pipe. But there again, uh, if you're just tuning in, we're talking about all things crypto. You can ask any question you want, whether it's about Vesper or not. On Vesper, hashtag AMA is where you can ask your questions on the Vesper Discord, or on Twitter, just reply, and I'll scroll through and hopefully see your question through it. So let's get down into it. Check us out at Vesper.Finance, or the one of the major dev team behind that, block.com. Check us out on the web there. Let's see. Disclosures. Nobody ever does this in crypto. I'm the only person in crypto that does this. But I do feel that it's always important to disclose kind of, the ugly phrase for it, where your bags are, or what are your bags. But you do hear this on the business channels, the CNBCs of the world. I'm not here to much to some community's chagrin. I'm not here to just pump a token or whatever. Being from hometown North Carolina in the United States here, it's just tough to go from there to buy this token. I like to think that if we build something great that's truly innovative, truly thoughtful, then those sorts of things will just happen. So I'm not going to talk about the token, not going to talk about token price, any of that sort of dynamics, which honestly, I know some of the traders love to talk about, but I just like to talk about the technology. So disclosures out of the way. Not going to be talking about anything that attorneys will wag fingers at me about. All right, Vesper Orbit. Next topic is what Vesper just. We wanted to think about how are we going to get, metaphorically, how do you bring people into Vesper's orbit? Vesper being, if you're not aware, Vesper is a DeFi project that Block was the primary author of, that we co-founded and launched in February of this year. It's been, we feel, very successful. We feel it's a DeFi blue chip. What is Vesper in general is it's what we feel is a safe, approachable, clear, trustworthy place to hodl your crypto, grow your crypto in a way that's not subject to impermanent loss or some of those other risks. We started out with Vesper Grow, which is pretty familiar to DeFi. It's some of that is very similar to yield farming or meta yield farming. Basically, if you have ETH tokens and you want to grow those ETH tokens, you deposit them, and Vesper's automation takes over and looks for the best yield source within either a conservative or aggressive risk level, and obtains yield from Aave, Compound, MakerDAO, the familiar DeFi Lego bricks. We plug those into Vesper. That's Vesper Grow. Vesper Earn, which is coming up very shortly, is something new. That's really exciting for me, at least personally. I do this manually through DeFi, which is I have ETH and BTC, shocker of shockers, and I want to hodl those. But I also want to do something with those, i.e. collateralize them, make it either earn me some US dollars for spending money, or compound themselves, etc. I manually do that through depositing into various DeFi platforms, notably Maker. But what Vesper Earn does is it automates that. Is you just say, okay, I want to deposit some ETH and earn some stable coin. I'm going to do that. And Vesper automation handles all the expensive ETH gas, expensive ETH network fees for you. So it aggregates work across all the users, and in doing so, saves you a ton in gas costs. So really excited about that. We have a number of other items that I'll talk about, but Vesper Orbit is a version of Vesper Grow that is for newer, more exciting DeFi 2.0 type tokens. We again, with Vesper Grow's conservative and aggressive risk levels, those really focus on is it explosion risk, for lack of a better term. Is this DeFi gadget likely to get hacked, like unfortunately Cream or Pickle or some of these others got hacked? The conservative approach avoids a lot of the time since last hack type of scenarios, goes with really seasoned protocols. Aggressive is less seasoned, but still we feel that within certain risk parameters, it's okay. So Vesper Orbit looks at that from the token standpoint. Vesper Orbit says, which is at orbit.vesper.finance, Vesper Orbit says, okay, well, there's tokens like that too. There are tokens which are new on the scene, tokens which maybe need some guardrails, but which are innovative, interesting. They have some quantitative teams behind them. They've been audited. And we want to provide an up-ramp for new tokens and new projects into sort of the much more guarded and audited and ring-fenced Vesper conservative. And so you can imagine a stair where a token starts at Vesper Orbit, and then if it survives, it's seasoned, it survives the metaphorical Darwinian trial by fire, it moves up the staircase to Vesper Aggressive. And similarly, if yield sources and tokens, they continue to prove themselves, and they finally graduate to that top level, which is Vesper Conservative. So that's what Vesper Orbit is introducing, is a way to kind of sort of have your cake and eat it too, is that we want to bring those tokens into Vesper's orbit, pun intended. But the Vesper ethos, again, I care very much about, I think a lot about consumer safety. I think a lot about how the crypto that I know and love still has a lot of risks. The crypto that I know and love still has a lot of rough edges. And how can we protect users against doing things that they did not intend? How do we protect users against hacks? How can we, ensure absolute minimum number of mistakes? And so we think about that not only when we're engineering the smart contracts on the blockchain, getting those audited twice, but we think about that on the user interface side and the app side. Is how accessible are these Vesper products to users? How understandable are they? How might people make mistakes, and how can we work around that so that you're doing exactly what you intend, and you're not accidentally fat fingering $1 million into somewhere that you didn't intend. So Vesper Orbit is that first step, that kind of guarded launch for tokens, and maybe strategically kind of a have your cake and eat it too kind of solution, where again we have this conservative approach, and conservative platform analysis. But we also don't want to go stale. We need to stay vibrant. Vesper needs to continue to connect with the innovators in the space, and Orbit is the way to do that. So it's not just about there are the components of crypto degen or DeFi 2.0. Absolutely, with the first few that were selected, the Frax protocols, Frax, Fei protocols, Fei, Alchem's ALUSD, and the DeFi Pulse Index or DPI token. But those are early entrants. It's really, again, about new projects, new innovation, a way to bring this kind of measure thrice, cut once, professionalized software engineering approach to the newer token, so that we can help the audience, digest and experiment within guardrails. So specifically, what are those guardrails? There are deposit limits on each of the Vesper Orbit pools, so that people don't ape in $100 million and then it gets hacked, etc. We always think about that risk adjusting staircase. I know the audience is probably getting bored me talking about risk, but we think about that all the time. How do we protect people? Because DeFi is empowering. DeFi, decentralized finance, is, I'm convinced, going to be the backbone of all finance. It is that's literally what a network backbone is. And DeFi, what we're building right now, are the fan of that. But again, it's risky. No question about that. And we all need to just look ourselves in the mirror and be honest about that and make smart, risk-adjusted decisions. So that's Vesper Orbit. That's a bear hug for new, amazing, but still projects that we've looked into. We feel that they, again, have strong teams and audited code, and they've survived some of the Darwinian trial by fire that all tokens need to come through. So there's my little spiel about Vesper Orbit. Wow, has really 20 minutes already gone by. I'm longer winded than I thought. So the questions are piling up. So let's take a couple questions. No, sorry, I can't talk about listings. That's one of the attorney wags your finger at type of things. Let's see. Someone asked about Coin Metro, talking to Coin Metro, staking options. Absolutely, I think that I got to speak a little bit generally. I think that every exchange, including Coin Metro, needs to make the following two upgrades. Number one, they need to enable payment channels, Lightning Network, etc., deposits and withdrawals. These kind of L1 deposits and withdrawals, very basic and not really the state of the art anymore. And number two, and this applies to Coin Metro, our buddies at Gemini or Coinbase or anywhere else, is they need staking options for their users. If you're a Coinbase user or a Coin Metro user, you want to you have a balance there. You can obviously potentially move it off exchange, but for you, the user, there's some network fee involved, and Ethereum fees are high right now, so that might be costly. And for the exchange, just business C language, they want to have users stay on platform. And so with that logic, there ought to be a button. Deposit this into Vesper. Make an APY. Fundamentally, assets should not be just at rest, not making any money for you on an exchange. An asset at rest is, its opportunity cost wise, an asset at rest is negative APY, right? Because opportunity cost, it could be making money somewhere else. You could be staking and getting 7% yield, or 10% yield on a stable coin, or 1 or 2% on BTC, or even more at some places on the aggressive side. Or it could just sit there on an exchange and maybe be traded every now and then, sitting around as liquidity. So it just seems logical to me that exchanges are going to start depositing into either DeFi, or they'll try to run their own DeFi. They'll try to be like, here's my centralized version of DeFi, but that won't work. And so the natural evolution of that is exchanges will be depositing and earning yield. So I'm pretty confident that that's a coming trend. Turning to some more questions. So let's see. Here's a good one. Are we contracting with anyone to build AI into our platform? That's referencing Vesper, of course. So that's a really, really interesting question. Is long-term trajectory, what's the decentralized answer, right? That's always our point of view. That's where we start from, reasoning from first principles. And so when you think about AI, you think about what Vesper does is someone deposits, say, ETH into an ETH pool, and then under the hood, automation is searching for the best, safest way to compound that ETH without impermanent loss or similar risks. Keyword automation. So there are a number of different DeFi sources, and this is in mathematical terms, a polynomial, a many variable equation, such that to give a real working example, a simplified example, there's automation that at Vesper that looks at a certain number of strategies. Currently, that automation is a bit primitive. It goes through a spreadsheet. But says, for example, simplified, Compound is earning 1% on ETH. Aave is earning 2% on ETH. So naively, you might say, well, let's withdraw the assets from Compound and deposit into ETH at Aave. But anyone who knows how lending markets work is it's a direct correlation of supply and demand on that platform. So if Vesper, and Vesper's large, moves, let's say, $10 million worth of assets into Aave, that might cause the APY to crash to almost nothing, depending on how much available liquidity is there. If there's already a lot of liquidity, there's very low demand, which means there's very low yield. And so you got to factor into account, and here's where AI comes in, is the dynamics of the market. Is if I move a certain amount of asset at a certain time, what is the most likely reaction of the rest of the market? AI, machine learning, it has its limitations, and you should never ape into an AI prediction because it's always inevitably biased and backward looking, and doesn't necessarily take into account real world events as they happen. But with those caveats in mind, absolutely you can make a prediction of, well, okay, this market's behaving this way, and so the automation ought to shift assets such that it will capture a little bit more yield. So, right now I'm not aware of dev team or community literally, banging fingers on a keyboard for machine learning. But it's absolutely in the Vesper and I think the industry trajectory, because and here's another detail. The new pools that Vesper is deploying are under a V3 version 3 framework. And this version 3 framework, which has again been audited multiple times by independent auditors, the V3 framework, as is other DeFi platforms, multi-strategy. That means we'll assign, say, 60% of the ETH to Aave and 40% of the ETH to Compound, in a simplified example. Setting those weights, number one, is something that's very interesting to gamify and potentially have people competing against each other to set a valuable weight. That's one path to decentralization. And the other path to decentralization is keepers, a network of decentralized keepers, and they're all running AI machine learning models on the back-tested data. And the bots that come up with the best answers, the best performance, are the ones that inject those weights into the multi-strategy pools, which cause assets to be reallocated in a more optimal way. So super powerful, very, very interesting. Excuse me. Great question. Let's see here. What excites me the most about Vesper? Well, I mean, that gets way too much into politics and philosophy. It's about, to me, it's financial education, brings financial inclusion, brings empowerment. It's a great, not only a great leveling, which I don't like that phrase because it implies you're pulling down, but it's more a great leveling up. Crypto levels you up, in life, mentally, philosophically, economically. It levels you up in how you think about things, how you analyze, how you approach the world. And so again, that's a subset of the more broader financial education. So, very, very strong believer in education equals inclusion, and Vesper plays a huge role in that. I think that if there's something that's approachable for both the average person who's just entering DeFi, as well as the experienced crypto person, and then finally the suit wearing institutionals, all of those I think benefit from this measure thrice, cut once type of approach, and Vesper plays a role in that inclusion. Vesper plays a role in bringing payment freedom and financial freedom to people around the world. So that's maybe a little bit more philosophical than the questioner intended, but that's what gets me excited about Vesper. There's and the other thing is kind of what gets you excited about crypto and DeFi in general, and why I'm just shocked that economists don't already study crypto even more, right? Is crypto and DeFi, all you have to do is think up the rules of an economic system. You couldn't be more clean slate, clean sheet of paper. Think up the rules of an economic system that you think will benefit the world. And if you can write those rules into paper, the if this, then that, if this, then that, then you can bang it into code, you can bang it into a blockchain, and it's all of a sudden it's an economic system, and it's living and breathing, and it who knows, it might like the ironic nature of the Uniswap Uni airdrop, it might be universal basic income. People who, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds, kids, people who had just one Uniswap swap, they got what was, I think at the time, $1,200 or so, just dropped into their wallet. And that's just that kind of thing can happen. Obviously, it's not rare. Obviously, it's not sustainable. I'm not, disclaimer, not saying that airdrops are the end all and be all. But philosophically, again, Uni and Uniswap, that was a special case and a really unique product was already on the market. They had a user base and they rewarded those users. So a really nice pattern, really nice outcomes. And it definitely, again, makes you think about the benefits that crypto can bring and not just some of the hype and some of the negative stuff that maybe that's to focus on. Some of the non-crypto questions, 3D printing. I am newly into 3D printing. I'll just keep this short. I did some 3D printing maybe a decade ago or something like that. Really enjoying the state of the art. Got a Creality Ender 3 V2. The models take some getting used to. My first models didn't come out so well. It's a little bit of an art as well as the science, but it makes you feel like the singularity is one step closer. You can, as my kids did, you can draw an idea on a sheet of paper, then you can model it in a CAD software, some engineering design software, and then you can 3D print it. And so it goes from idea to a physical object that you can hold in your hand in a complex physical object in under a couple days. So just an amazing virtual to physical type of experience. So 3D printing has really come along. That was a lot of fun. What are some innovations happening in DeFi 2.0? Well, I really like DAO 2.0. To be honest, I think that DAO 1.0, the DAOs of several years ago, it was kind of ruled by the mob, ruled by the crowd. Is you'd imagine a centralized company, right? A corporation, a normal corporation. You've got kind of the typical top-down management structure. You've got a CEO who gives orders to the middle managers, who gives orders to the workers, that sort of thing. Well, the DAO 1.0 model was everybody votes on every decision. And that is, as we saw, that's not really a way to run any organization. You can be brigaded. You can, the wrong people kind of, join and sway votes because you didn't pay attention that day or you didn't have your wallet unlocked that day, and then it kind of gets locked in and embedded. Several famous disasters, including what led to the original Ethereum Classic fork itself, the woefully named the DAO. That was a spectacular failure, and put a black mark in the DAO name for quite a while. But now they're back, DAO 2.0, and Vesper is playing into this, or our progressive governance structure. The end state is a DAO. If you go to docs.vesper.finance or gov.vesper.finance, you can read more about that. The DAO 2.0 is really let's delegate certain powers. The token holders are ultimately who runs things. They can fire. In the ideal model, they can fire the people who are running things day to day. But there are people that are running things day to day. There are keepers which are that's the term in DeFi for these limited permission roles, such that a person can, for example, pause a financial product in DeFi. It's the only thing they can. They can't withdraw those funds. They're kind of a janitor or a limited permission manager. They look out for danger. They can issue like an emergency stop, but it can't just withdraw the tokens into their personal wallet and run away with it. So these keepers are programmed into smart contracts, and those are one part of the DAO 2.0 model. The other are delegates, representatives, some things you see in modern democracies and governments. Obviously, as a citizen in whatever country you're listening in, you don't have, full scope and knowledge of, let's say the ports or, the customs regulations at the border, or make up any particular scenario. There's domain knowledge, right? That you just don't have time in the day to keep track of. Nobody does. And so we elect or delegate representatives, and that's happening in DAOs as well. You get delegations to, especially in Uniswap, Compound. The delegations are well-known community members, well-known team members, sort of echoing independent directors in the modern corporate world. And also, you're seeing things, and Vesper does a little of this, where DAOs are paying vendors, and those quote-unquote vendors, that's teams that are getting the work done. But again, the DAO can choose to fire that team. That's always the question is, can, the current, what happens if from my old Linux days, the phrase was, what happens if you get hit by a bus? What happens if, X or Y gets hit by a bus? Can things continue? And that's really the litmus test. So DAO 2.0, that's kind of what excites me about DeFi 2.0. Some of the protocol-owned liquidity, Olympus DAO, and it's 1,000,001 copies. Protocol-owned liquidity is absolutely better than rented liquidity. So, we are definitely having those conversations at Vesper and thinking about those sort of details, because it's, it makes so much more economic sense for every single project under the planet to, stop renting liquidity and, have protocol control liquidity. It's safer, better trading environment. It's income for the project. It's a better experience for users. You get less slippage. You get fewer rug pulls. There's just so many things that, and Olympus is the ready example on the tip of the tongue, but obviously not the only one. But they really waved the flag for protocol-owned liquidity. And that's another DeFi 2.0 notable. Obviously, on Vesper Orbit, we have a number as well. There are new and interesting stablecoin experiments. Again, you kind of look at the past history. I'm a history buff. I love looking back in years and seeing patterns. And if you look back in the years of stablecoins, not that there's that many years, that we see all sorts of bad examples of rebasing stable coins that didn't work, that made various attempts. And this current crop, they've learned from all the others' mistakes. And so again, I love the innovation and the trying new things that you can do in crypto. And the DeFi 2.0, they're trying new things on the stablecoin front. Will that succeed? We'll see. There's each one is very promising in its own right. That's why we listed them on Vesper Orbit. But again, if you want to suggest something suggest for Vesper Orbit. By the by, please do stop by the Vesper Discord. We take tokens through a whitelisting governance process. So there is a token vote that has to happen for tokens on snapshot.org/vsp.eth. With the usual, everything has to go through governance because naturally we're a decentralized platform. Those types of tokens are absolutely very interesting. DeFi 2.0. Let's see. What are barriers to entry for DeFi today? That's a pretty good one. Obviously cost. Again, I want to onboard 10 billion people into crypto. What's the current current population of the world? It's 7.753 billion. Well, nevertheless, I still want to onboard 10 billion people into crypto. And if that's going to happen, then fees have got to be, make it accessible to everyone. The Ethereum fees, the higher fees go, the more it's, kind of a rich person's game, which is not the directionality that things need to go. But I like to say zoom out. Zoom out. Look at history. Look at the history of fees. Look at the history of blockchain. How does, what happens when fees are high on one chain? People go to another chain, right? Is economic incentives directly push you towards another chain? Okay, well, what happens when everybody goes to that chain? Fees go up, right? Basically, fees are a resource limiting mechanism. No matter what blockchain you're talking about, it can only withstand so much traffic. And that's just the nature of the beast. And so what we saw recently, for example, with Avalanche, which we're big supporters of Avalanche. That's one of the next platforms that we want to roll out along with Polygon. Fees had been in the pennies, and then Avalanche got popular, and fees were no longer in the pennies. This is totally normal. It just means the platform is getting used. Well, okay, you ask, what happens then? Where do you go if you can't afford $20 per trade on Avalanche or $200 per trade on Ethereum in gas fees? You'll go to another platform that'll be very similar, and pretty soon, think about this getting automated, right? You shouldn't have to worry about what I just told you about. You as a crypto holder, you as a crypto user should just say, to hold Ethereum or I want to hold Bitcoin. Excuse me. And you should have the automation take care of the rest. Whether there's yield and conservative yield on Polygon, or aggressive yield on Avalanche, or conservative yield on ETH mainnet, the next stage of Vesper in particular, and DeFi in general, is really looking at that multi-chain world in total and managing your assets across those various chains. ETH2 is coming, and that'll bring additional bandwidth. That'll bring some traffic back to ETH that's left to ETH. So we'll be watching that very closely, but I think economics is the biggest barrier to entry to DeFi today. The other, which I've already covered, is safety. Safety is probably the biggest barrier to entry. You got to know how to do this fancy 24-word mnemonic thing, and you've got to write that down, and then you've got to secure that so that Your kids won't give it to the dog to eat, and strangers snooping around won't stumble upon it. It won't burn down in a fire. And if you think about all that I just said, that is a lot to ask. That's called self-custodying. That's the full story of self-custodying. That's a lot to ask of your average person. I am very confident of people's ability, and I want for maximum freedom, I want to teach everybody to self-custody and how to do it safely. But that's, again, a lot to ask. And so I'd say that's one of the other big barriers to entry in DeFi. More questions. If I was president, what would be your crypto agenda? Well, I'm glad the question only asked for my crypto agenda, because I could talk for hours and hours and hours on that. But again, I promised no politics on here. My crypto agenda would be regulatory sandbox, stop with the war on cash and the war on privacy. That's a pretty tall order, I do admit. Let's see. Is Satoshi still alive? I have no idea. I only interacted with Satoshi purely through electronic means, either through, I believe it was CVS at the time, the version control system, email, and online forums. So I like to talk a little bit about anonymity. Is when I and everyone else found Bitcoin in the earliest days, July of 2010, the anonymity of Satoshi was actually very important for one reason: is there was no CV. Satoshi had literally zero credentials, either positive or negative. It was a totally empty, blank avatar. And what did that force us as software engineers to do? We had to look at the Bitcoin source code and understand it for ourselves, prove to ourselves that Bitcoin was real. It was not just 5 computers in an Amazon data center, but it was truly something leaderless and decentralized. Which was incredibly important. So if it was John Smith and who invented Bitcoin, and that was someone who's known, and you had heard of them, and you could look at their LinkedIn and stuff like that, you're coming into the evaluation of Bitcoin with built-in biases, right? And what Satoshi did, being this absolutely blank avatar, was you had to focus 100% on the code. Satoshi was actually wonderfully politics free. There weren't long screeds about this, that, and the other. There's famously a quote embedded in the very first Bitcoin block. Chancellor, on the brink of bailout for banks, something along those lines. But on day-to-day, forum postings and stuff, everyone else would talk about the politics, but Satoshi was very focused on just Bitcoin and possible uses around that. And I was really impressed that Satoshi, whoever he or she was so restrained. Let's see. We're getting close to 6 p.m. here. I got 8 more minutes. Got an interest question. Outside of the house, outside of computers, I love the woods and outdoors. I think the word conservationist is a little bit outdated, but maybe that's me. A lot of hiking, backpacking. I've recently gotten into off-road racing out in the deserts of Nevada and Arizona, and that's a lot of fun. I like driving my tractor on my 16 acres of land. I like being a dad and a husband and doing all that boring family stuff. Yeah. So I don't like to talk a lot about me. Let's talk about the technology. I can talk for hours and hours about crypto and DeFi and everything in between. Let's see. We talked about DAOs, NFTs. Big fan of NFTs as well. Obviously, there's a lot of hype associated with them. There's a lot of VC money associated with them. Um, we first observation is anything that could pay a starving artist. I'm happy that money is whenever it goes to starving artists. So again, it's a story of crypto being very leveling in terms of leveling up. We talked about that a little bit more in this space a little bit earlier. Was leveling is a bad phrase, I think, again, because that kind of implies pulling people down as well as pulling people up. But whereas leveling up is just rising people up, bringing people up, which I think is great. NFTs are great for that. You can be any level of artist and introduce an NFT. Part of freedom is that there's going to be a glut of supply of crap, right? Um, as I like to say, that the cost of digital asset creation is zero. And what does that mean, right? Is good and bad. There's every technology double-edged sword. The good, open access. Anybody can do it. You don't have to be a credentialed, Wall Street Ivy Leaguer to release a multi-billion-dollar financial product or a multi-million-dollar NFT. The credentialism is almost totally absent. It's very very merit based, very just sort of if you hit the mark, it doesn't matter who you are, it matters what you did. And so that's very liberating about NFTs. But again, cost of digital asset creation is zero. There's going to be a glut. There's going to be a supply of crap. You see the same thing in tokens. And the numbers, venture capitalists like to talk about power law distribution. And what that means is venture capitalists, they'll invest, let's say $100. And $90, 90% of that, might vanish, might go to zero. But they expect on that last 10%, that last $10, they make back that $100 and then some. That's kind of the power law distribution that venture capitalists expect. And you see the same things in crypto, but even more so. Is 97, I'm making up these numbers, 97, 98% of tokens are, not worth a whole lot. As an aside, I don't use the word S coin. I think it urinates on innovative people too much. It's used too much. But 97, 98% of coins are probably not worth very much at all, right? That other 2% is amazing and innovative and deep and world-changing. And the same thing with NFTs is if the cost of digital asset creation is zero, the cost to flood the market with cheap crap is almost zero. But again, that the quality is there. You just have to know how to curate, know how to filter, know how to find it, and there is real innovation, real art going on. NFTs span a number of things. They span, and I'll talk about the one you've never heard of. NFTs span finance. NFTs can hold a number of tokens that you then seal up and kind of wrap it up like a bow, seal it up in a package, and then you can exchange that. It's just a package of discrete assets, and you can financialize and do interesting things with it. NFTs are collectibles. You've heard about those. Trading cards, basketball cards, Top Shot, fantasy football, that sort of stuff. NFTs is art. You've heard about those, CryptoPunks, hash masks, all that stuff. But NFTs are starting to move beyond that into ticketing, loyalty, badging, indication. Your diploma might be an NFT when you graduate from a university or graduate from a corporate training class. So there's a lot that those ideas have been kind of sitting on the floor for the past couple of years, and now people are picking them up and doing something with it. So NFTs are you got to wade through the hype. You got to swim through the hype and find that 1%, that 2%. Final minute or so. Let's see what any other questions are. You've been on Team Bitcoin? Yep, I'm still on Team Bitcoin, despite what some of the crowd might like to hear. Let's see. This is a tough one. It's a good one. I'll go ahead and air the hard questions because you got to do that in life. What would you tell somebody who thinks crypto is all a big Ponzi scheme? Sometimes I have 1,000 answers, and it depends on the person that you're talking to. Some people, they just have to. You're not going to convince them. And they're just looking for a fight. They're just looking for something to dislike. And as I get older, I think a lot about that kind of negative energy. And if people are putting a lot of energy into being negative, I'd just rather route around that than trying to push against it. But if people are willing to listen, then my standard spiel is this thing is risky, but you don't want to avoid it. You want to, as I've described earlier on this AMA, my personal background has been, if it's been anything, it's been try new stuff as soon as you can try it. Right? Again, I was on the internet in the late 80s before invented. I was using Linux way before it was in every Android phone and in every data center. I was using crypto when I still had long hair. When nobody had ever heard of it. And what was I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that it was all educational because you're meeting inventors, you're meeting people who are they're for better and worse, and for all the motivations under the sun, people are trying to change, disrupt, improve, and crypto is kind of that's where a lot of the smartest people are working. And so again, the question is, what would you tell somebody who thinks crypto is all a big Ponzi scheme? Is I point to all the smart people working in crypto. It's not just, hey, I need to make a buck. It's this person and this person and this person and this person honestly believe at their core that they're doing something that's going to make the world better. And all those examples inevitably, at least if they're early crypto, is they don't have to work anymore. They're choosing to work on this amazing thing. So to that abstract critical person, I'd say look at all these smart people and who are interested in empowerment and freedom and financial innovation and governance and government innovation. You got to at least pay attention to that. Now, that's the number one. But number two, again, bound that risk. And so, going to the convenience store, going to Walmart, that sort of thing, talking to the average person, I'd say absolutely put, like 1 or 2% of your net worth into crypto. And just so that you're exposed to it, but don't ape into 100%. Don't bet to get into crypto. Don't take risks with, you and your family and kids and stuff, right? I know that I'm a little bit of a hall monitor here, but that I think a lot about consumer safety, and that's honestly a big deal. But once you're in, you're connected to this innovation. You're connected to people who are really thinking about the problems and challenges of our time, and at least asking, could crypto in some way, shape, or form help improve, life on this planet somehow? Or even if you want to talk about aerospace, off planet. And that is something not to be dismissed. So, it's something that you got to be plugged into, but it's something that you got to bound your risk with. That's kind of how I answer that type of question. Let's see. This, sadly, Spaces doesn't have an easy way for questions to be answered. Well, it's a little bit past time, so I think I'm going to wrap it up anyway. Thanks for stopping by. It's been a lot of fun. I see a lot of faces on the Spaces app, so I hope all my ramblings made sense. Because from this end, kind of talking at a computer and talking at a wall. So again, this is Jeff Garzik, co-founder of Vesper.Finance, signing off. Please visit app.vesper.finance to check out our app. We just launched Vesper Orbit. Check out orbit.vesper.finance. Documentation, docs.vesper.finance. And if you want to help steer the ship and you want to participate in governance, gov.vesper.finance. Join our Discord, join the chat. We love to talk about anything under the sun, DeFi, crypto, Vesper, or anything else. Thanks a lot. Check out crypto. Enjoy life. And as always, go outside and breathe some fresh air. It'll do everyone some good. Thanks a lot. Take care. Good night.